As Kevin Kelly said in his article, Becoming Screen Literate, we are headed to screen ubiquity. In other words, he is making us aware that right before our eyes, the paper is becoming the computer and the pens and pencils are becoming keys. Everything is appearing on the screen and there's absolutely no escape. Kelly calls this movement distribution and display technology. It is constructed in an era that has changed the culture of communication. We are moving away from face-to-face conversations and written letters to a world of a fast-speed circulation of information. In order to keep up, it is crucial to become digitally literate. Digital literacy is knowing how to read, write, communicate, and participate in the growing online culture. Getting comfortable with technological literacy is a stepping stone into the digital world. This step, as Cynthia Selfie explains, involves the ability to use computers and other technology to improve learning, productivity, and performance. It is important to note that developing these skills to use the technology is not going to be enough to be digitally literate. You must become literate in each device. For example, Selfie goes on to explain computer literacy as a functional understanding of what computers are and how they are used. Literacy extends beyond the basics of learning how to use a computer, phone, or other technological space. Often the greatest contribution comes from using various technology that work together to produce an original work. Over the course of my communications class, I have proven the importance of being digitally literate in a society of screens by sampling and combining digital spaces. My participation in online spaces has become the key component into my understanding of the changing digital culture. Without the ability to participate, I would not have gained the toolbox of skills that Reingold insists is important in participation power. Included in this toolbox is persuasion, discussion, self-presentation, and even crap detection. All of these items are needed to become digitally literate. The truth is that participation really is power. My journey to digital literacy started with a background using technological devices, which included my Verizon Wireless iPhone 5S and my Apple MacBook Pro. I was familiar in how to use them effectively and what their purposes were intended to be a content creation. At that point, I considered myself to be technological, mobile device, and computer literate. Unfortunately, I was not yet digitally literate. Upon the creation of my WordPress blog, A Serendipitous Adventure, my class Twitter account, and various mobile apps, I slowly gained digital literacy. Once they were all created, I was able to connect them in various ways that allowed me to effectively produce material quicker than I ever imagined. A Serendipitous Adventure is my online music blog that provides viewers with information regarding meaningful lyrics or songs that have been used in unexpected or non-traditional ways. It was not always a blog page, though. Originally, it was a simple, empty, generic WordPress URL that needed editing and personalization. This is where every creator starts out. In order to make these changes, I needed inspiration and a place to begin. I took to the internet to become literate in the information that surrounded the topic of modern, meaningful music. My idea came from other blogs, websites, and accounts that can be found on my blog roll. One of the many was Wild Wanderings, which is now called Tim Barkley Music. Soon enough, my blog was able to become a remix of other creators or bloggers who have produced similar information before me. By remix, I mean that I cannot take full responsibility for being the first person to establish a music blog. Of all of these other accounts, they have contributed to the discussion before me. I have compiled what I believe to be the most effective pieces of other websites with the same intention and recreated them to put on my blog. Kirby Ferguson provides an in-depth explanation for how this works within the movie and music industries in his 4-part video series, Everything is a Remix. Reusing popular topics to create a conversation of your own is effectively participating. To get more information on my topic, which is constantly being updated, I gained the literacy of Zeit, an iPhone app that updates and streams related articles. Some of the filters I used were music lyrics, meaningful music, and music news. From Zeit, I could save the articles in a bookmarking app called Pocket. My Pocket archive contained articles that I thought would be useful for writing a blog post at a later date. Knowing how to use these apps was important because it allowed for more effective blogging and staying up to date on what my readers might be interested in. Another important feature of these apps and my blog is tags. Tags are a term that you learn in the process of becoming digitally literate because it helps with organization as well as discussion. Tags are typically one word in length or a common phrase that is conventional to your community or audience. I could tag a Zeit article with hashtag meaningful melodies or hashtag music and politics, and then when I'm writing my blog post about the topic, it would be easier to filter out. There are also ways to connect tags to Twitter into the mix of digital spaces. My Twitter account at Emily Bokansky is the base for all of my digital communication. Whenever I produce a blog post, I advertise the link on my Twitter using related hashtags so that users are aware of its existence. In addition, I also circulate site and internet articles, items that I have saved to my Pocket account, and original content regarding my hashtag CPTF15 class, as we call it in the digital world. Twitter is also the location that allows my followers to become aware of what I am sharing on Spotify, an online music web player. I have been able to use IFTTT to make it possible to alert my followers with a tweet when I add a song to my Meaningful Melodies playlist on a completely different website. The Meaningful Melodies Spotify playlist that I created was meant to directly connect the information that I was posting on my Twitter and my blog. Its purpose was originally to engage my audience, but soon became a great way for my followers to participate as well. All of these connections and combinations sound confusing and complicated, but in reality, they're creating a great culture of digital literacy. I have found through my use of technology that I was able to retrieve and produce information quicker than ever before, and more importantly, I was able to participate and have my voice heard amongst the crowd. In Personal Connections in the Digital Age, BAM recognizes the effect of technology, which is actually the importance of why someone would want to become digitally literate. She says, technologies affect how we see the world, our communities, our relationships, and ourselves. Becoming digitally literate is a culture that expands communication, effectively relays information, and allows everyone to become a part of this vast community of creativity and intelligence.